everyone. My name is Dara. This is Dear Hallmark, and we are still in the thick of Countdown to Christmas at Hallmark Channel. And I am not by myself today. It actually feels like deja vu because the guest that we have today in the home of Dear Hallmark, he was my first guest for Countdown to Christmas last year, and he was my first interview for the Dear Hallmark podcast. And now I have the pleasure of him being my first interview for Countdown to Christmas this year. You guys, it's my cousin, Andrew Walker. Andrew, how are you
What's up,
doing?
cousin? How are you?
I'm
I feel
doing,
honored. I'm all these like firsts for you. It's very humbling. Thank you. Thank you very much
gotta keep it in the
for
family.
reaching out. Yeah, no, you got to keep it in the family. Family first.
So how are you doing? How's life?
I'm great. I'm still coming off this high from, week ago in New York City
Yeah.
where Hallmark put together this incredible event for all of us. And yeah, it was just one thing after the next. It was just like they had dinners planned and events, and we had a press junket, which I haven't really had the opportunity to do a lot of press junkets for films that I've done with Hallmark in the past.
Yeah.
But we had some great interviews, myself, Paul, and Tyler, for our movie Three Wise Men, and along with some of the other casts, for their films coming out. And so just I said to you when we were off camera, this is what happens when you get a few strong females in the in as the heads of the network now, and in marketing as well, and they're doing some really incredible things for all of us, and they're really changing the landscape of how people view Hallmark and the stars. And
Yeah.
um so I'm just, it was such an amazing time to be in New York, and this time of year as well. The leaves are changing and the cold
Yeah.
air, and I feel like I am a true East Coast guy at heart. I love the West Coast. When I arrive back in the West Coast, I'm like, okay, this is home to me now.
Yeah.
But I do miss the everything about the East Coast feels, during fall and winter, just for a brief moment. Then
Yeah.
I'm good to get back to the warmth again.
That's the one thing that keeps me on the East Coast. I love experiencing all four seasons like that, like having the cold, the changing of the leaves, but then also having the brutal summers as well. I'm not a summer person, so like fall and winter, that's my homeostasis right there. Like that's where I've
Was it winter as well? Winter.
I love the cold. I thrive in the cold. In the summer, I can barely breathe.
Oh,
Like
wow.
my allergies are all out of whack. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. There is something about the East Coast summers though that I like, the sound of the cicadas,
Mm.
those like sounds of cicadas. Um the smell of the air, the barbecue. Like if you're like, I reminds me of driving my bike through the streets when I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I lived at the pool. I lived at the park when I was growing up playing soccer and football, and I was also at the pool a lot during the dead of the summer. But driving back home from soccer or going to a friend's place, and then that sound of the cicadas, and then the smell of barbecues in the air, and it was just and the humidity. There's just like something very nostalgic about all of that, which we don't get in the West Coast really. I
Yeah.
don't. Also, California or LA, not California. LA is very. It's a specific place. It's not. You don't get a lot of community neighborhood feels. It's not like kids driving their
Mm.
bigks through streets. You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
more just
Yeah.
like we drive our kids to the park, and then they have the park to be able to go to. But we're very. It's an a anomaly neighborhood we live in, and I give full credit to my wife for creating this. Like everywhere she goes, she creates community. Like she'll just, we have this. She sent out an email. We delivered hard letters and emails to all of our neighbors up and down the street, because we didn't have really a Halloween street.
Oh
And so this
wow.
year, another mom reached out to her, and we have a few new moms on the block now, and they're like, why are we going to bring our kids to another neighborhood? Why don't we just create Halloween for our own, like in our own Halloween here in our backyard?
Yeah.
And all our kids are super young, so we had our kids, myself and my wife and my in-laws are visiting right now. We went up, and we were responsible for the top of our street, so we dropped off letters for everybody. We got like 20, like we have, our street probably has 55 houses on it, maybe 50 houses on it. We got like 32 responses back from people saying we're in. So the kids are gonna. We have friends of ours coming over to our house to trick or treat up and down our street. So people are gonna get
I
involved
love
from
that.
4:30 to 6, and then we meet at the top of the hill for drinks, for cocktails, for Little West cocktails. Um, they're good with alcohol in them as well. But we meet at the top of the street at 6 o'clock, and we're gonna just have like a neighborhood gathering,
I
So
love that.
it's great.
I love that you can create community wherever you are, wherever you go. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up barbecue, which is a good segue because we are in the thick of Christmas. So I want to know, is there like a Christmas dish or some food that specifically sparks your mind about Christmas or that reminds you of Christmas when you smell it or when you eat it?
Yeah, for sure, stuffing.
Yeah.
You know the what's the one important, not sage. It's like the smell of sage
Hmm.
is Christmas to me. And my uncle was the guy who made all the stuffing when I was young, going to my aunt and uncle's house for Christmas. Um, and now the torch has been passed to me with my in-laws at their house when we have Christmas at their place. So I have my own little take on
Oh,
stuffing.
snap.
But it's always a ton of
Yeah.
sage in there. So I
Yeah.
think sage stuffing for sure is Christmas to me.
That sounds really, really good. I think for me, it's that classic Christmas ham, like the honey glazed Christmas ham. I can have it any time of the year, but it still feels Christmassy to me to
Yeah,
smell
yeah,
like the honey glaze and to have that ham. And I always have it with like the same sides, the macaroni and cheese, the stuffing, the collard greens, and the
yeah, yeah,
cranberry
yeah, yeah.
sauce. It's like it's a dream. It's a dream. Holiday
Yeah,
eating is like the
it's
best
so
eating.
holiday eating is the best. Oh my gosh, it's the best.
It
It's like
really
guilt
is.
free.
Come on.
You're just like, yeah, I've been waiting all year for this.
Literally, literally.
Yeah.
So you had quite the busy year here, Mr. Walker. Before we get into Maple Valley Christmas, which is why you're here, but you also had another movie come out on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries earlier this year, which was Curious Caterer, opposite your good friend Nikki DeLoach. Which can I just say, because I didn't have a chance to talk with you about this yet, I want you in every mystery movie from now on. You did your thing in that. I loved what you brought to that role. I loved like the sass, kind of like the no nonsense. What did I think Jackson and I called you like Detective Hart? We called you a name. We had a name for your character.
I
I
gotta know that
forgot.
name. I gotta get that name.
Yeah, but it like I oh, Detective Buzzkill. That's what we called it. But we
Right.
enjoyed, like thoroughly enjoyed your performance in that and seeing you in a different aspect because we're so used to seeing you in these specific type of roles on Hallmark Channel. But with this character, we got to kind of saw the darker side of Charmin, if you will, like the darker side of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
Angie could bring to Hallmark. So can you talk a little bit, just a bit for like how was it playing that role and being in that different space in a mystery context?
Yeah, well, thank you. No, I really appreciate that. It was a bit of a risk, I Nikki and I had talked about approaching this movie differently because we've been in 4 movies before. We were like, well, we don't want to just give people another Nikki DeLoach, Andrew Walker film, and let's have fun with this, and let's play against you know, all your natural instincts. Are usually natural instincts in a Hallmark movie are to show that budding romance and
Mhm.
to be a little more flirtatious and everything. But I listened to an interview with Matthew McConaughey when he was preparing for True Detective, and he was saying, normally in a movie, because normally he does feature films, he'll have a beginning, middle, and end. But with a mini series or like what we're doing, Mystery Wheels, the the love story could happen in the fifth movie, or like
Yeah.
you could start things could start coming together in the fifth movie. Whereas with Matthew McConaughey, he was talking about other things. He was True Detective was definitely not a Hallmark movie, but
Right.
but I took a lot I took some advice from what he had said and was just like, play against all of those instincts to want to resolve things, immediately. And so, um, I watched that. I watched the what's it called? The oh my gosh, why am I blanking on it right now? I watched it was a great detective series, female lead from the Titanic. What's her name? Kate
Kate
Winslet.
Winslet?
Yeah, what's her detective series she did?
I don't know.
The something of something. It's a anyways, great detective series, and my I've watched since then. Actually, I didn't get an opportunity to watch a lot of the mystery wheels
Mhm.
when I did Curious Caterer, but I've since then watched a bunch of these mystery wheels, and there are like there are some I watched the perfect what was the one perfect something perfect mystery perfect
Oh, Picture Perfect
pitch
Mysteries.
picture perfect mysteries, and the character in that was a little bit like me, written on paper. It was this guy had come from the city. I came from San Francisco, in Curious Caterer. I had recently been divorced. My wife didn't come to the small town that she had told me she wanted to move back to because of
Mhm.
she we were trying to rekindle things in our relationship, and also she wanted to have more of a, we talk about community. She wanted to have a little bit more of a community feel to her life, and San Francisco, as it is, if whoever's been there, is it's changing. It can be a dangerous city, in parts of San Francisco now, and in really nice neighborhoods. Like you can walk out of this incredible hotel and be right in the thick of, you know, of a tent city, and there's people
Mhm.
doing drugs all around you and stuff. So, anyways, I wanted to go deep into that world and into that mindset of this guy, going through and carrying the burden and the weight of this, the recent separation of his wife, or not too recent, but recent enough that it's major
Mhm.
heartache. He's coming from a city. He left the city because he just was dealing with, way too much stress in his work and he was seeing kind of, he was witnessing, humanity at its worst, and we don't have the opportunity to ever really tell these stories and to play them out in Hallmark world. But I wanted to kind of sit in that a little bit with this guy, and I'm really excited. We're going back. We're doing our second one in 3 weeks. We're going to shoot our second Curious Caterer. We're bringing you more.
That's all
So
I
we're
wanted for
gonna.
Christmas. That's it. That's it. That's it. I love it. Speaking of Christmas, because that's the theme here, you were also at Christmas Con Pasadena earlier this year, and you were at Rama Drama West Palm Beach earlier this year. So you actually had a chance to get out and like meet your audience and meet your fans. So how was it being at both of those events earlier this year? How was that for you?
Well, outside of seeing you at these as well, and seeing, my other podcaster friends, it's amazing. This is, it really solidifies, the reason behind why we do what we do. And um, as an actor, you don't really get the opportunity to, I don't want to say change people's lives, but like give people that much escapism or that much,
Mm,
um, hope. There's a lot of hope in these movies, uh, and you go on set, you do your work, and you leave. You come back home. I'm integrated back into my family here, but I don't I don't see fans that many fans in a condensed amount of time, and in a small, in like these convention centers,
mhm.
ever. This was an opportunity a few years ago, 3 years ago, when the first Christmas con came around. I was blown away. 9,000 people, and people coming over wanting to say hi to me for the
Yeah.
work that I've done, and saying you brought me through cancer remission, or you helped me get through a difficult time losing my husband, or I had people coming over to my table that were taken out of hospice, that this was their dream. This was their like Disneyland moment, that they wanted to come and say hi and say thank you and just meet the people that have, that kind of are giving them some ease in their final days, and it's a big, that's, it's a great weight to have, but it's a weight, and it makes all of us. I know I spoke to Tyler about it. I've spoken to Nikki. I've spoken to like all my good friends and on the
Mhm.
channel about it. About this experience, and what it does for us is it fuels us to go back and to do better work, and to like really give our best in everything we do. And also give people a little bit more BTS behind the scenes and what we're doing,
Yeah.
and just, I think that this is a very unique network, in that we are able to do this for people. And you don't get this with CBS or NBC or ABC. You don't get these with just normal, network television. This is a very specific community of people, and it's just
Yeah.
growing every day when people find out about these movies. And this is the beauty of the movies we're doing now, and the stories we're telling now, and how open and more open these stories can be, and how more broad the storylines are. This is the beauty in the time that we're in right now, and with Hallmark, is that we can
Yeah.
accumulate more viewers, because they're like, oh wow, I didn't realize Hallmark did a movie about three men and a baby, or I didn't realize Hallmark did a movie about a girl with Down syndrome. I didn't know
Mm.
Hallmark did a movie that was biracial relations, or same sex relations, or you know what I mean. This is
Mhm.
all the beautiful stories that we're telling. That's real life. These are things that people that we're this is our world. This is what
Yeah.
this is the world we live in. So let's tell those stories.
And I know I speak for many when I say thank you to you guys for how much you give of your time, because even though you guys are only on those sets for 3 weeks, it's not just y'all tiptoeing through the tulips. Like y'all are grinding. Like even shooting these Christmas movies, I heard in another interview like how hot it gets, and you guys have to wear those pea coats and those sweaters and still put on your game face and still show us that it's, or prove to us that it's cold, like where you are. And then to come to these events and give so much of yourself, so much of your energy, so much of your attention, of your time. We're grateful for that as well, because even as you said, other celebrities, it's like they don't pay people the time of day, like they could care less. But we can tell that you guys truly care and you truly put your best foot forward. And I know that I can speak for many when I say thank you. Like we really feel that and we appreciate that. So I wanted to say that.
Thanks, Dara. Thank you. I mean, look, we're not working in a coal mine. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not that. It's,
No,
it's
but
not.
serious.
It's
Like
honestly not that tough. I mean, yeah. So what? We're hot. Like, I go through my days. I'm like, okay, all right. The worst fear that I have, or the fear, but what I don't want is, I just don't want to be on camera where my face is just like dripping with sweat, where I'm like trying to fall in love with this girl. I mean, but the reality is that, hey, Maple Valley Christmas, I'm gonna be sweaty. I'm gonna be a sweaty mess in that movie. It was the hottest I've ever been on any movie set, and I was on top of a horse, and the
yeah.
horse was radiating heat, and I had ice packs down my chest and my back, and I mean everywhere I could put an ice pack, I had an ice pack, but it still was just, it was 100+ degrees plus humidity. But it could be way worse. And so I'm just trying to still focus on the work, and focus on, the telling the story, making sure the story is being told in the way that I want it to, without having the heat affect my, kind of creep into my brain and go, oh my God, Andrew, it's so damn hot right now.
Right.
Can you say these lines? How do you look right now? Is your hairline all sweaty? Is your mustache, your lip all sweaty? you know?
So let's talk about A Maple Valley Christmas because last year you had My Christmas Family Tree where you played opposite Amy Teagarden, and that was a movie that had Hallmark Movies and Mysteries feels, but it was on Hallmark Channel. And now this year you're actually on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, so we know what to expect in a sense with this movie. So can they do have a little bit of a trailer out, so the viewers we know that you play a guy named Aaron, who, from what I can see, I think he's a real estate developer or real estate executive of some
Yeah.
sort. And the leading lady, I'm not sure of her name, but she owns a ranch. And I'm not sure if you're coming to like take it over or to buy it, but there's that aspect of it, which gives you quintessential Hallmark. But I'm curious if
Yeah.
you could go into what that movies and mystery spin is on this movie with that kind of quintessential Hallmark storyline.
Yeah. So the girl, her name is Peyton List. She's amazing. She brought something completely different to Hallmark. She was on the show Mad Men back in the
Okay.
day. She's so talented. She's like extremely underrated actress. I'm very fortunate that I got to work with her on this. Um, yeah, she's very like mysterious, and she's kind of got this like old world movie star-esque feel to her. Um, and so she owns a maple syrup farm. It was passed on to her. In this movie, you see that it's passed on. It's been generations of this farm that they've had in the family. But her mom has fallen in love with uh, her dialect coach in Italy. She was learning how to speak Italian, and she falls in love with this guy who's teaching her Italian teacher. She decides she's going to pick up and move to Italy, and she's leaving the farm to the two daughters, to the girls, and they're kind of at odds with how they want to move forward with the business.
Mm.
And um, and just so happens that the land next door to the maple syrup farm comes up for sale, and this was land that they had sold to the current owner back 20 plus years ago when they were in some financial hardship, and so they just assumed that they were going to be able to repurchase it. Um, but the guy has fiduciary responsibilities with his investors and other people that are part of that business, so he can't just sell it to them for the
Mm.
lowest price. He's got to get the highest price for it, but they don't have that money necessarily. I am the son of a real estate developer. It's kind of just a business that I have fallen into. My dad has been trying to, groom me into taking over this business. I'm more of
Mhm.
a creative spirit. I don't really agree with a lot of the business moves my dad has done in the past. He's cutthroat.
Mm.
I'm not so much. But I'm sent to over the holidays, sent to see this land because my father finds out about it, and so my dad's very gun ho about buying this land, and he wants to develop it and turn it into condos and whatnot. But it for sure, it has like the old school Hallmark feel to it. But
Mhm.
what makes it movies and mysteries is the dramatic, side to this movie. So this is a story about a father and son relationship that is
Mm.
tormented. It's our he's basically, I've never lived up to his expectations. It was we got in, I've gotten in I get into it with my father in this movie more than I have in any movie that I've done before on Hallmark. And then the love story is super passionate. It's a very like deep love story of these two people falling in love immediately, like love at first sight. Our first kiss is before any first kiss that I think it's record breaking first kiss page number, like page 23 or whatever, that we end up, that you end up getting this first kiss.
Whoa.
Not to get, I don't want to give too much away, but I guess I did. But basically, when Peyton and I were working this out, I was like, Peyton, and she was new to this world, so I'm like, Peyton, how do we make this so that we don't like lose people? We have to, like, this has to be very, it has to just be organic,
Yeah.
in how passionate we are and how much we fall in love, fall for each other in this. And, looking at it and comparing it to my relationship with my wife, I guess the best way that I can compare it is I met my wife. I went out for a drink with her. I'd been single only for like a month and a half to 2 months. I was like, oh, single life. I'm going to be single for, at least a year, year and a half, enjoy my time. And I went out for my first drink with her and I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. I can't believe if this girl gives me the time of day for like the next little while, this is my wife. This is exactly what I want. So
Wow.
it's the same thing. Aaron and Erica, Aaron Davenport, my character, and Erica just fall for each other. And there's this undeniable connection. Um, and so I think like Hallmark movies and mysteries movies are just the contrast of what you're going to get on Hallmark Channel, which is like
Mhm.
more Hallmark Channel is more, comedy. You're going to get a lot more comedy. You're going to get, especially nowadays, Three Wise Men is like single camera comedy, where this movie for me, this was why it's a really exciting Christmas for me, or my, for the movies that I was able to do, is this one's very dramatic. Love story is super deep and passionate. And then,
Mm.
and I have this contentious relationship with my father, and I'm trying to win this. I'm trying to like make good on this with this girl still, while trying to please and appease my father in doing what he wants me to do. But I end up, you know, you'll see. There will I end up, fighting for the two, and you'll see how it all fares, by watching the movie. But um, so I think that's the contrast. Hallmark movies and mysteries, you're just going to get a lot more of the dramatic. You're going to get a lot more of the slower played out, love story and the. But this was a really fun movie to kind of sink my teeth into these types of dynamics between the girl, the love interest, and my father.
So are you saying we're gonna cry? Like, should I have tissue boxes, not one but two, next to me as I'm watching this, Andrew? Like, what are you saying to us right now?
I don't know what your barometer is for your cry barometer. How easy do you cry, Dara? So you might have to have the Kleenex box next to you. I think that you know from a male, like I was telling this story, I was thinking about all the guys that have never lived up to their father's expectations.
Whoa.
And
Mm,
I came from a place with my father. He was my football coach, super tough on my sister and I, more tough on my sister than he was with me. Um, but I have a great relationship with my father. Is he a difficult man? He's a difficult man. He's set in his ways. He's 84 now, 83, 84.
mm,
Um, Different generation.
mhm,
But I definitely had in my late teens, and mid to late teens, I had some I had it out with my dad a few times.
mm.
That's just, I think that mothers and daughters have the same thing, fathers and sons have the same thing. So I felt like I was telling this story in a way, and like thinking about all the guys that have never lived up to their father's expectations, and have had these like unrealistic, goals set by their dads, and plans set by their fathers, like, oh, my son's going to do this, he's going to be a
Mm,
lawyer, he's going to be a doctor, he's going to be that, whatever it is. um and he's, like I said, he's my father's also groomed me and taken the time out of his life that he's felt like he's like, I've you know I've made these sacrifices to to make sure that you are the guy to take over this business. Without you,
yeah.
there's nobody else taking over. So the pressure behind that is a ton of pressure. And so, um, yeah, it was a very beautiful exorcism of these things that I had been feeling, and I'm sure other men have felt, along the way in their journey of just being a son.
Yeah. I know I can relate to that even as a daughter because when my parents divorced, I lived with my dad. And so I was with him throughout all of high school. And his goal for me, Daria, you're going to be a lawyer. Daria, you're gonna be a lawyer. Like that was his goal for me. I had no interest in law, but his thing was as much as we argued back and forth, like apparently he thought I had some type of skill in debate and analytics and like analytical thinking and things like that. So he was like, "Oh my gosh, she needs to be a lawyer. Like you need to be a lawyer." And so when I remember that fateful day when I called him and told him I was going to major in English. He said, "What?" He was like, "No, no, 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 no. This is not what's
Yeah.
going down." And so we definitely had a contentious relationship, but I remember when I sent him the first paper that I wrote for a creative nonfiction class, and I wrote it about my parents' divorce because that was the first time that I actually had the chance to
Wow.
like it was like a cathartic exercise, like writing that because I hadn't dealt with it at that point. And him reading it, and he said, I get it. Like, okay, this is cool. And so I think both men and women will be able to relate because I think fathers they have that thing. Like there's that thing about fathers where like they want the best for their kids, but sometimes it doesn't come off the right way and the way that they
Yeah.
try to execute it. Like, would you say that about the father character in this movie? Like, as much as you can say, in terms of like he has good intentions, but it just comes off incorrectly. Like, can you talk a little bit more about the father character?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, this is still a Hallmark movie, so he's got he has you know he has a softness to him for sure. There's
Mm-hmm.
but I would say that on paper it was unlike anything I'd ever like. It was he we pushed the writer pushed the limits on
Mm.
what type of man this was. He um we've at the very beginning it was more he starts to realize, or I start to realize and and show him that I'm really not necessarily cut out to do this, to do the type of work
Mm.
that he wants me to do. um but he keeps pushing me till the very end. We have like to a point where we're severing ties. Like our relationship
Whoa.
is potentially severed. Like we're
Yeah.
not. Who knows what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And so no, it was unlike anything that I'd ever any movie I'd ever worked on with a father son relationship, and for that matter with like even the story in general, a mother daughter relationship. I mean, I feel like this relationship was so severed and fractured, and we catch these two men at a point in their life where there's a lot of history here, a lot of history of just of the agenda, my father's agenda, just kind of not potentially come
Yeah.
not coming to fruition. Not he's
Yeah.
starting to see his son go and going like, but like unlike you, I didn't have anything to show my dad necessarily.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm a kid that's still a guy that's still trying to figure out what it is that I want to do. I have some
Yeah.
ideas of what I want to do. I haven't put them to action yet because I haven't had the ability to put them to action because I'm too caught up in my dad's business. So I'm resentful of the business.
Yeah.
Um, I when I told my father in Montreal when I had been acting already for about 5-6 years, but when I actually told him that I'm buying a car to drive to California to try to make a go of it as an actor, he was like, "All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Mm.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, buddy."
Mm-hmm.
And my whole my whole plan for my father's, well, and my plan was that I was supposed to play football in a U.S. college. I had a bunch of scholarships. I picked a college. I tore my ACL. I got injured. My dad thought I was just going to rehab my knee, get back to it. Um, Things didn't work out that way, and I had a passion for acting and performance, and so I just decided to pick up and leave at
Yeah.
21. And I never thought in a million years at 21 I would make that decision. I thought I was going to be at home up until like 28.
Mm.
I lived in my parents' basement, and I
Yeah.
decked it out. I had like a pretty good situation there.
Yeah.
But no, the father in this, and the actor Paul, and I'm blanking on his last name. Paul has he puts up an awesome performance as this father, and he said, funny enough, he said that he'd never booked a Hallmark job. He's gone out for Hallmark, but he's never booked a Hallmark job because they thought that he was a little too rough around the edges. They thought that he was a
Oh,
little
wow.
too, um, yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
this is what you'll see him. He's a he should be in an HBO drama,
Mm,
but
okay.
that's what this guy's bringing. Which is great.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, that's exciting. So to kind of bring some happy feels into it, because I don't want to really on another lane, but to bring some happy feels, like what was a really cool heartfelt moment that you can remember filming that the viewers can look out for as much as you're able to tell us? What was like a heartfelt moment after filming that scene? You were like, you yourself were touched by that scene.
I mean, all the scenes with my father for sure. All the scenes where we had yeah, where we we were going through what we were going through. But I think the most heartfelt, I think that you do a movie with a horse that's heavily that has a lot, that has animals in it, and I think like that was probably seeing the seeing the horse for the first time, and then you'll see in the movie, but seeing the horse for the first time, which draws me into the where is how I meet Erica, how I meet
Mhm.
Peyton List's character, but basically being drawn to that horse. I'm my mother, who passed when I was younger. My mother was her dream was to be a cowgirl. Her dream
Mm.
was to live on a ranch, and so she would always take me horseback riding, and she would always like want to spend time at ranches with me, and go. We would want to. She'd want to. That's her dream was. So you see that softness, that like little boy coming
Mm.
out in me again, in that connection with the horse, and then seeing Peyton List's character Erica, and she's basically, you know, a she's kind of like what my mother. She embodies what my mother, all the qualities of what my mom would have wanted in a girl, in a wife for me as well. And
Yeah.
so I just see that. So I think the very beginning of the movie, when I see the horse, when I meet Erica for the first time, it's just this, I'm enraptured in
Mm.
memories, and yeah, nostalgia, and also I'm caught off guard, about how much this is all how much this all means to me, and how crazy it is that it's coming, that it's happening right now.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, for the first like 15 pages in to about 35 pages into the script, that I think that was really for me a really special beginning of a movie.
Yeah. So, what do you think, as viewers, both who are familiar with Hallmark, who knows it wouldn't be a Christmas movie without an Andrew Walker Christmas movie, like Hallmark Christmas movie, but also those who are coming to Hallmark for the first time and they're seeing an Andrew Walker, a Maple Valley Christmas? What do you hope the people take away from this movie after watching it?
I hope people take away that this is these are incredibly well told stories with, you know actors that are bringing it. Like Peyton List is incredible in this movie, and I always hope for people coming to Hallmark movies that they also don't think about their lives, their regular lives, while
Mm.
they're watching this movie. That they're
Mhm.
taken away, and they're really, brought into this world that we create for them. And you know i I love these stories so much that we get to tell, and there's some that I'm more proud of than others, but you never know. This is a recipe that you put together, and you never really know how it's going to turn out. All I know is that
Mhm.
the producer has told me, which I've done a few movies for this producer before, and he's like, this is one of the nicest looking movies that I've ever done. And he goes, it's so
Oh,
beautiful, and the story is incredible, and you and Peyton are amazing in it. And he's like not somebody to blow smoke. So I'm
yeah,
excited for people to see this movie and to hear what I'm excited for the new viewers, and I'm excited for all of the veterans to tell me their honest opinion, and let me
yeah.
know how they felt about seeing a movie like this.
Because it's been a while since you've done a movies and mysteries Christmas movie, right? I feel like it's been
Yeah, it
a
was Christmas on My Mind was the
yeah,
last, which was with
yeah.
Ashley Green.
Yes. So it's been a minute and a half. So we're happy to see you back on the Movies and Mysteries channel.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
we are going to be sure to watch A Maple Valley Christmas. Now, I just wanted to add this PS note. Maple, the fall that I needed in the fall. I feel like they're giving us that because we're still in early November. We're getting that mix of fall, but with like a beautiful Christmas overlay with it. Like, was that the vibe? I mean, of course, Hallmark's going to bring the Christmas, but I just like that they added in like the maple syrup element in that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful description. That's exactly what it is. It's a Christmas movie with a beautiful fall underlay. Did you
Uh,
reverse that? Did you say a
I
Christmas
think
underlay or fall? Yeah,
I
you
said
said
like a
it
fall
is.
movie with
It
like Christmas overlay.
overlay. So yeah, I guess it's a fall underlay.
Yeah.
This is Christmas overlay. Um, but that's exactly what it is. It's perfectly described. This you're you know the movie poster, I think, is really what makes you think more fall, because it is the leaves, different colors of the leaves and stuff. But
Mhm.
um, don't get me wrong. I mean, a Christmas movie, a Hallmark, anything Hallmark Christmas related, you're going to get full Christmas. You're going to get in the scenes. There's going to be tons of garland and tons of trees everywhere, lit up, trees and lights and wreaths, and you're going to get all the Christmas.
All the Christmas.
But I think that's why it's also they're airing it so early in the season. Is it's a fall Christmas movie. So
I love that. I love that. Well, Sir Andrew of the Walkers, thank you so much for being here in the home of Dear Hallmark. I appreciate you. I want to give you the last word. So whatever you want to say, whether it's about the movie, Hallmark Channel, something to the viewers or listeners, whatever you want to say, I want to give you this moment to just say whatever it is on your heart.
well, thanks, Dara. I feel so fortunate to be on the podcast again, and thank you so much. And like I said at the beginning of this, it's a really special year for me being in two movies like this, and I couldn't be more proud of where Hallmark is taking the network, and I couldn't be more proud of the people that are on the network, and I am just feeling I feel like I am the luckiest guy in the world. Honestly, I couldn't imagine doing any other work for any other network, to be honest. I just love this community so much, and I can't wait for Christmas Con coming up, and I can't wait to see everybody's faces there, and can't wait to see your face there. And I'm excited for these two movies. You're going to get something completely different. Maple Valley Christmas and Three Wise Men are two completely different movies. You'll cry in Three Wise Men too. You'll cry. There
No
there might be some
way. No way.
there there might be some tears in Three Wise Men. I cried reading the script. I teared up reading the script.
Shut up.
Yeah. So I'll leave you with that. And we'll talk about Three Wise Men when we talk about Three Wise Men.
Oh, man. Wow, you guys. I'm Dara. He's Andrew. This is Dear Hallmark, and I will talk to you guys in the
Happy
next
Halloween,
episode.
everybody, too.